Welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils postgame show brought to you by the one Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Bet just $1 on any NBA or NFL team to score a point in their game, and if either team scores a point in the game that you bet on, you get $100 in free bets when you sign up using that promo code PHNX. I'm joined as always by Brittany Boyer. I just want to get this over with. I mean, holy hell, that was one of the ugliest things I've ever seen.
That game went about how I expected it to go based on how the entire week leading up to this game ended up unfolding.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about Darian Butler not being at practice.
It's huge.
I wasn't necessarily sure because they kept that very much under wraps. The car accident that was taking place, then you find out Oregon State's honoring one of their top teams and their one of their coaches who happened to go on to be one of Arizona State's coaches. And it looked like he was one of Arizona State's coaches still with a number of penalties and false starts that they had out there. It literally was just a game where, once again, all of the issues that are still unresolved have come to fruition.
Yeah.
And Oregon State just had more to play for, and it showed.
We're not even 2 minutes in. We're already getting Fire Herm comments. Listen, final score 24-10. Oregon State defeats ASU. ASU falls to 7-3 on the season, 7-4 on the season, 5-3 in conference. Oregon State finishes undefeated at home and moves to 7-4, and now has a shot to win the Pac-12 North. Surprisingly, after the Utah loss, that was the thing that really kind of set the tone for me. I was
that was the nail in the coffin, in my opinion.
What?
In terms
you know what
of
actually happened?
And this is where we're at today.
You know what actually happened? I was planning on relaxing today, but one of my best friends got broken up with, so I had to go console him. So we were drinking at a bar.
That's why you just don't date people, because it's a disaster.
And it set the mood for this, and the commitment issues that I have with Arizona State football. And we were
Shane,
watching.
You and I are one of a kind, man. I get it.
We were watching the Utah Oregon game, and after the punt return touchdown to make it 28-0 at halftime, that just kind of set the tone for the rest of the night. And I'm not saying that this was a huge factor, but you can't help but think that the players. This is the problem. They
knew.
Yeah, obviously they knew, but this is the problem I have a little bit with college football is as much as bowls and the integrity of the team helps and means something and winning your conference, what have you, when you realize you don't have a shot at what your top goal is anymore, especially after a season like this, it's kind of hard to play. I don't know.
It is, especially when you were so highly looked upon before the season. You were anticipated to do so much, and then you get out there, and what you're able to do and bring to fruition is not what's expected. And the weird thing about this is it's not – no, I don't want to say weird. The thing about it is it's not coming down to the players who are the seniors out there for the most part, because, you look at the guys like Chase Lucas and Jack Jones and, the ones that everyone was talking about, and they're for the most part getting the job done, along with all the linebackers and stuff. The defensive side of the ball looks good. It's the offense, and that was always going to be the question. But, after last year, and I know I get it, last year was a short year, but they were all true freshmen. They all got playing time in terms of the receivers, and I thought that they all showed way more hope, potential, expectation, just more to look forward to than what they've done this year. It's just been a very lackluster year in terms of offense and what they've been able to produce, and especially when you look at the defense that they had this year. This was the defense that you would have wanted to have, that would have carried you all the way.
Golf season, yes. Anything else injected into my veins, because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of watching this. Frankly, I don't know if it's time to say it, but what is Herm Edwards' contract buyout? Because there is this team. If this stuff that has been a problem earlier in the year is reemerging consistently. I mean, no other team have I ever seen watching college football in my entire life have had so many consecutive false starts. And what I mean by consecutive is back-to-back plays. It's like 4 or 5 times this year. It's incredible. And what I tweeted this earlier tonight, but the epitome of this team was they call a timeout in the second quarter, and then they
come out with a false start.
That should never happen. You know the snap count. You know what you're doing. This team isn't connected. There's, as I said, fast forward 3 months from now, and we hear about some stuff that was going on in the program. Maybe, I don't know if there's even going to be anything.
I don't even think it's going to be 3 months.
Yeah, I bet we look back at these games and say, oh, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. It's a little bit more excusable now.
Realistically, think about it like this. Final game of the regular season is a week from, we'll be done with it in a week from where we're at right now. It's already going to be in the past. We'll have done our post-game show because it's a 2 p.m. kickoff time.
Yeah.
Thank God, no more of this late shit. More than likely, we will wake up to find out the fate of what's happening with ASU football.
For sure.
So pretty much in 8 days, you guys are all going to have your answer in terms of what's happening. I have been saying this all along. I don't think Herm's going to get fired. I think what you're going to see is it's going to be some sort of a mutual parting of ways. I don't think that there's going to end up being some sort of contract buyout. And I feel like this is all going to be done very much in a way that tries to keep both Herm and Ray Anderson's image looking as squeaky clean as they can. Obviously, they're going to want that. But, you know, I think that what ends up happening in terms of if he parts ways with the program on his own versus if he gets fired and there has to be a payout, I think it's going to be huge in terms of who is able to come in and step in as the next head coach and what staff they can bring in.
The thing for me, I'm not saying like the false starts and everything is strictly on the coaching staff. It's just something I want to point out. It could just be the buy-in, but again, that goes back to coaching of the players and team chemistry, because I mean, JD5 was so frustrated out there during the false starts, and yeah, he's had a bad season. There's no other way to put it. But I don't think, I mean, EST YouTube in the chat said sad to say, but I think JD5 looks like he regressed. I'm not sure if it's the regression thing. I think a lot of it is mental, because you're talking about a guy who, I've talked about this before, who came out just absolutely firing on all cylinders his freshman year. You know how composed he is. You know what type of dude he is. You know what you're going to get game in and game out. And then the COVID thing kind of jumbled some stuff up. And then he comes out in his junior year where he has a potential to go to the draft if he plays well enough. And he still probably can, but comes into his junior year and struggles. I mean, he's tripled his interception output in his career in just this one season. So I don't know. I think a lot of it's mental. I mean, the tools are still there. The kid is unbelievably elusive. You saw that great pass to Rashad White in the first half, which was almost the only deep ball they completed the entire game. But he still has talent. I don't think he's like regressed, so to speak. I think a lot of it's just the culture around this team. It's hard to win when you're dealing with a different receiving core every single night.
Well, different receiving core. You have to think about also, and I brought this up too on Twitter, the changes to the offensive line, specifically in the last 2 weeks.
Consistent changes.
Yes, that's going to impact it too. And I mean, you have to think back, because historically the offensive line has been a huge issue for Arizona State in terms of getting things going. And that started with Todd Graham and his incoming inability to recruit past the JUCO players. As soon as they were out and they were done with Erickson's guys, they had no line and they couldn't recruit a line. And Herm Edwards really is just getting through recovering, those open holes that were left for so long when Todd Graham was gone in terms of an offensive line. So I think you have to look at the opportunities that are and are not provided, especially with the 2 big losses that they're dealing with right now. I feel like there's some sort of disconnect going on with them, and there has been all year.
Yeah.
That's where all the penalties, the root of and heart of the penalties really stem from. And don't get me wrong, I know that Ricky Pearsall had one tonight as a false start. There were a couple of weird ones.
Yeah. Case Hatch had one also.
Consistently throughout the year, though, the bulk of the penalties have come from veteran players on that offensive line. So something to me says that it's just not gelling, but I just cannot shake the feeling. And I know I've kind of been talking here for a minute and going on a rant, but after
Well, hey,
tonight's game, I mean, I
go
just,
for it.
hey, all right, it's time for an It's Lit with Britt. After tonight's game, I cannot seem to shake the feeling that these guys just have known the entire time that they're not coming back, or that the outcome after this season is not going to be good. It's not looked good from the start of the season. Things have been a little bit weird. I was saying it after, and this was before we had even launched with PHNX. After the very first game, I believe I shot you a text and said, Jaden Daniels just does not look like himself, and I am concerned about him this year. And it's one of those things where he really has just kind of continued to struggle. And like I was saying, I don't think it all comes down to him, like you were saying as well. I think a lot of it is just that mental aspect, but also the pieces around him that are and aren't clicking. But just you can't help but feel like there is this cloud just hanging over it. And I don't know if maybe it's just because I am able to sense like really weird shit like that easily, but I've felt it every time I'm around ASU football this year. It's just like tense.
Yeah. Well, look, at the start of the year, we were saying, even in their close wins and even after the BYU game, we were talking about how, with all of the noise going around this ASU team, how is it possible for these kids to just put their head down and play with all the recruiting stuff? And I don't know. I think you've been seeing it in these last couple of weeks. Even, again, we don't know the whole story, so I'm not going to say I know something that I don't, but it just seems to me like there is a ton of noise going about. David, you are right. Even on that deep ball, he did underthrow him. That would have been a touchdown if he. But yeah, there's just something off. You can't diagnose it unless you're on the field, so I'm not even going to try to. But the one thing that you can say
I'm
is
around
he's
the
off.
team a
Yeah.
couple times a week normally, and I can't diagnose it. Nobody that's around them can diagnose it. And this is even with me talking to people who have been covering the team for 20 plus years. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on. And this is something that I've kind of been saying just in terms of, I believe I brought this up, I want to say 2 weeks ago before the last home game. What's being put out there by the ASU athletic department, especially the message that was trying to be sent after Jordan Simone got let go, in terms of, like, we're taking this stance that nothing has been said or done about the coaching staff, and nothing's been determined, and XYZ. And they're trying to make it sound like there's still a possibility for them to come back. But the output on the field has only continued to look more and more. I feel like I phrased that backwards. They're continuing to look like they are less motivated each week when they go out there.
Yeah. There's not a lot you can say.
There's
Yeah.
a disconnect between
Yeah.
what's being said and what's being shown. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's all it always is. It's all smoke and mirrors. So nobody has any sort of idea what the fuck's happening. But I don't think it takes a rocket scientist. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist, though, to look at this program and say there is some major shit going on. And I think we're just minutes away from it all blowing up.
Yeah, let's get into some stats. I think the biggest thing was time of possession. Oregon State, even though it's not a huge margin, they won the time of possession by about from 33 minutes to 27 minutes total. But it just felt like they had the ball in the key positions most of the game. Total yards 325 to 266. Oregon State was the one that did that. They won this game by only throwing for 90 yards. So again, the secondary, even though it didn't really need to do much as they only threw 18 passes, still did what they needed to. Big glaring stat from the
I've
box
looked at
score.
zero stats.
The big glaring stat from the box score is Rashad White, 15 carries, 39 yards. It just wasn't working tonight. You expected it. You expected some type
And
of.
he knew it.
He needed to slow. I mean, yeah, he had to slow down at some point. I mean, the man can't
he
rush
said
for
it in the
300
press
yards a game.
conference this week. I mean, he kind of alluded to it. He said, like, I mean, they have BJ Baylor, and they know that ASU has myself. And defense is going to be looking at me, and our defense is going to be looking at them. So, I mean, they anticipated this, but there were almost just times where it was like they didn't even try to go for a different play or get it into the hands of somebody else. It was just like, you could tell White is tired, and I get it. He's a playmaker, but at some point, just give it to somebody else for one play. Let him get a breather and let switch it up for the defense sake.
Yeah, I mean the play calling was a big issue for me tonight, especially when they had to settle for a field goal to make it 17-3 when they tried to throw a wide receiver screen to Ricky Pearsall instead of running it.
We'll talk about the 2 missed field goals too later on.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing from a play calling perspective that really shows you what you should be doing in situations where you realize your team is better than their team in an area was after the block punt, you got momentum. And you need to go to a play where you can score. So they run 2 plays in a row, one with Rashad White. He gains 3 or 4 yards to get to the one. And then instead of doing anything cute, they went with a power formation. They put Case Hatch in the tail, and they had Chip Trainin behind him. You put your specialty guys in specialty situations, and special things happen. But to your point about giving the ball to somebody else, I don't know if Ngata just was banged up a little bit, but he didn't get a single carry tonight. Chip only had 4 carries on the night.
And he
a
looked
little
good
strange
on his carries
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, I think his first carry of the night, he carried for like 8 or 9 yards.
Yep.
And it was a
Yep.
crucial, I want to say it was like in the red zone, and it was setting them up for, oh, hey, what do you know? One of those 2 missed field goals that they had because they also have no special teams. And can we talk about how the other thing that really just set the tone for the night was the opening kickoff return when the ball popped out before the whistle was blown, and I think all of every ASU fan was collectively
Listen
sitting
to
there
this.
shitting the bed, wondering what's
Th- th-
happening.
This was comedic almost. I tuned in and I'm watching on the ESPN app, and everything's fine, and then it buffers right when DJ Taylor catches the ball on the return, and then it comes back to, and the ball's on the ground. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Thank God they were able to get that, but obviously didn't mean much. Hold on, I bet on DraftKings for the first time and lost $20. Need to start listening to PHNX bets to make my money back. Yes, you do. Monday through Friday at noon, me and Johnny Venerable. It's some great stuff. And if you want to use the DraftKings Sportsbook app and you haven't yet.
Except we probably would have told you to bet on Arizona State in this game because the cheese pick said to.
I would have told you after the Utah game that to not, but that's just that's hindsight's always 2020. But yeah, every day Monday through Friday on the PHNX bets. And if you haven't used the DraftKings Sportsbook app, I encourage you to do so. You can download it right now.
$5.
Oh, tragic.
It's okay. I was trying to do like a same game parlay on like 5 different things. It just didn't work out.
That's how it happens.
I had low expectations.
Download it now using that promo code PHNX when you sign up. Bet just $1 on any NFL team to score a point in their game. And if either team in the game does score a point, you get $100 in free bets this week at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. As Britt talked about, just try to do a same game parlay. You can do stuff like that. You can bet on the first touchdown score. Espo and some of the Suns crew have been betting on the first basket score in the Suns games. Espo won some nice coin on betting on Jay Crowder 3 games ago to score the first bucket, and that cashed. Those type of bets are just really fun, and there's a lot of really fun props you can bet on the DraftKings Sportsbook app all the time. That's 21 plus, Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. I already said that. 21 plus. Yeah. There's one more thing.
See DraftKings.
See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for more details. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. I usually do.
No,
but,
it's okay. I've heard it enough time waiting for like the next part of it that even if I can't ramble it off, I can probably tell you what you're forgetting.
Well, let's get to a new segment that we've introduced the last couple of weeks. It's the lyric of the game. I'm not going to try to sing today. I'm just not happy enough to sing. I need to be in a joyful mood for my joyous voice to bellow through the mic. It's not going to happen tonight. This one comes from Michael Jackson, definitely in a different context than his song. But it's just bad, really, really bad. I think he's talking about himself in this song. But I'm talking about the Sun Devils. Bad. Not good, very bad. Not fun. Didn't have fun. Wouldn't recommend. Straight up not having a good time watching this game. So that is your lyric of the game, brought to you by Shane.
Mine. Oh, man.
You don't have to give one.
I was going to say, it'd probably have to be like Swimming Pools by Kendrick Lamar, because all I want to do is just drink my feelings away.
Yeah. I was thinking about just finding a song that just said fuck. I couldn't find it. I mean, I could have just pulled any lyric from a recent hit probably and found that, but I decided to go with that. So yeah, that is a lyric of the game. I don't even
have a player of the game for this game. I don't feel like there was
Eric Gentry?
one single person. Yeah, maybe.
I thought Eric Gentry played really well. I mean, with the absence of Darren Butler, he obviously needed to step up. He had that huge tackle on the screen pass.
Sully did okay too.
Yeah,
I'll give
Sully played
Sully
well. I
credit.
think the linebacking core is fine, but I was thinking this to myself. On that 40-yard touchdown run that basically ended the game, that made it 24-10 on 4th and 1. That's a play. I don't know scheming wise. I don't know where Darian would have lined up. Sometimes he lines up on the outside when they're in a short yardage situation like this. Sometimes he just lines up right behind the nose tackle. It just depends on the situation. But that's a play that you see Butler make all the time. All the time. He can have no tackles in the first quarter, and then the second quarter they need a huge stop on 3rd and 1, and he comes flying off the edge and pulls a guy back and hog ties him. I mean, you just can't speak on how much 20 was missed in this game tonight.
Oh, 100%. And, you also have to factor in, and I know Curtis Hodges has not always been the hottest receiver, but he is the team's
He's a
leading
big body
receiver this year. And his absence was also hugely felt. And, I felt like Thompson had quite a few drops. Again, I really am not fond of seeing him play, and I don't know if he's getting the playing time at this point because they're so banged up with everyone else that he has to play. But he's just, I don't know, man. I haven't seen anything from him that made me say, yep, he should be in there.
Yeah. I
To me,
don't know.
all I've seen is, yep, makes sense. He left Utah.
Yeah, and that just goes again with the constant switching in and out of receivers because you haven't really seen much of that many other positions on this ASU team. They've stayed relatively healthy except for that and the offensive line. Defensive line banged up. Obviously, hope DJ Davidson's all right. But other than that, I mean, the corners have had to switch in and out, but they don't really lose a step when they come in and out. I don't know. I think the biggest thing in this game, but aside from coming out with your hair on fire and intensity to start the game, which is ASU's problem all the time, was capitalizing on mistakes or taking advantage of what the other team was giving you. And this was just two unfortunate situations to be in the same position for. But DeAndre Pierce, the fumble recovery that he had when he was out of bounds, as soon as I saw that, I knew that was getting overturned.
Because
that play was going to stand.
Establish his presence.
Yeah, didn't even come close. And then the dropped interception, which didn't end up mattering because of the blocked punt right after.
Yeah.
It probably helped the ASU more that he didn't pick that off, but I don't know. It's hard to find little bright spots in this game. Hopefully,
I just had a terrible gut feeling. I've been dreading it all day. I almost knew that this was going to be the outcome. Just the more that time was passing, the more things that were happening. The Utah game taking place. It just almost felt like it was inevitable.
Yeah. Well, we got ASU basketball to look forward to on Wednesday. Big game against number 9 Baylor. You're not excited for that.
That's all I don't have much of a reaction except for I don't know how I feel about that. I'm still trying to process this loss. My feelings can't prep for basketball. That's a whole nother emotional roller coaster ride.
We'll talk about that near the end of the show. Anything else you saw out there from a good standpoint, maybe? You're like, what? Anybody have anything positive to say in the chat, guys? Maybe we can uplift each other. It doesn't have to be about the game. It can be about me. You can compliment me. That'd be fun, huh?
It was a pretty abysmal showing by the offense. I'm sleepy. Defense did its job. Honestly, I want to just keep them all. I want them to come back next year. I'd love for them to be like 7th-year seniors.
That'd be so fun.
But that's so not realistic. And I'm heartbroken for them that the offense can't pull their head out of their ass and get their shit together.
The season is over soon. That's a good thing. Very ruggedly handsome.
Duke, very true. Like I said, in just 8 days, we'll know if Herm Edwards is returning or not.
Hey, Britt, look at that one, huh? Come on now.
Oh, yeah, look at it.
Oh, my God, I got an upvote, too. Let's go. Well, one thing I do want to say, one positive I have from a scheduling standpoint, something that ASU doesn't really control. They play U of A next week. And if they were playing a team that they didn't care about beating, you might see a similar showing. But they're at home. They're playing their rival. They hate U of A. U of A is a far less talented team. There shouldn't be any problems with getting up and playing this game as hard as you can, especially with it not only being a huge rivalry game at home, but also the seniors' last time at Sun Devil Stadium, last time in Tempe, all together. I mean, if this team comes out flat against U of A on the last night that they have, there's more problems than just motivation. There's more going on.
If
From a
this
mental
team comes
standpoint.
out flat next week, I will hands down get on this fucking stream and absolutely, like Duke, Andrew Taylor just said, light a new fucking fire and go batshit crazy.
You
I
know
am
how
not
tired
joking.
you know how tired I am? I just reached for my glasses that aren't there to push them up. I'm not wearing
Oh,
glasses. Yeah.
it's okay. I'm gonna stay up all
What
night
time
and
is it?
then
12:11.
go to
Nice.
North Arizona tomorrow. It's gonna be a fun day. I'm gonna just
Yeah. Well,
I'm just rambling.
before we stop talking football, I'm still a little bit worried about U of A just because they're definitely going to get up for this game as well. This will be a lot of the players on their teams last time playing in Tempe, and maybe for wearing an Arizona football jersey. At least ASU has that going for them. They are bowl eligible, so these players will put on an ASU football jersey after Arizona, although it might be in El Paso. So that's a plus.
You know, I've seen some projections for the Las Vegas Bowl, and I'm actually really, 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 really hoping that they go to the Las Vegas Bowl. I love Las Vegas. Let me go to Vegas and just get
There's a
lost for a couple
positive.
days.
There's a
Yeah,
positive.
that's a huge positive.
Craps.
You know what? I actually would not mind going to the Las Vegas Bowl.
Favorite table game, Britt?
Blackjack.
Yeah. Blackjack's close second. My favorite's definitely craps. Craps is so fun. It's just
See,
so passive.
that's
You don't have to do anything.
yeah, and that's the thing. I'm just like, yeah, I don't feel like I have as much control.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that.
I don't like leaving stuff up to the universe because I feel like I already leave my whole life up to the universe, and it just like decides things for me, and it sometimes works out, but sometimes is a complete disaster. So I like blackjack because I feel like I have a little control of something.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't make enough money to enjoy Vegas. Yes, I feel that. I set
I
myself up.
like
I
to go to
don't.
Vegas. But okay, when I went by myself for the
Mhm.
fights, dude, well, I shouldn't say by myself. I went with my friends, but I stayed late by myself. And I actually had so much fun in Vegas by myself, just eating and enjoying it without being rushed and like getting to walk around and do touristy shit like a loser. Except I didn't walk, I scootered, but
Oh
same thing.
yeah,
It was
scootering
fun.
phase. Dude, Brit in the
So,
scootering phase, legendary moment in PHNX
dude,
history.
oh, also Low Tone Capone hit on this because I wanted to bring it up. But Joe completely just like Mike Luke, who's our U of A guy,
Great stuff, by the way. He does a
yeah,
great job down there.
he
But
was
yes,
talking some
Wildcats
shit
play.
about
Yeah.
ASU football and basketball not being relevant at all, and Joe Healy just completely lit him up on Twitter. And I thought it was funny. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's have a little bit of fun. Even though
Excuse me.
it's late and that was a miserable game. Maybe we can smile a little bit because before ASU football plays, at least ASU basketball plays the day before. Thanksgiving is next week.
That's my favorite holiday.
What if I was just straight up like, "Hey, Britt, what are you being for Thanksgiving?"
I'm gonna be a lazy do nothing bitch.
I'm gonna be a Power Ranger and cause a scene at my family dinner.
I always
But
cause a scene.
in the spirit of Thanksgiving, what is your favorite dish? And I have another question to ask after this. Chat, feel free to comment what your favorite dish is as well. Let's start a conversation. It's something other than ASU football because I feel like we're all a little bit burnt out.
Wait, are we talking like main dish or like do I get to put my whole
Any
dish
dish,
together on a Thanksgiving? Like
anything you
I'm
can
gonna
think
tell
of.
you
Give me the craziest
literally.
shit you can think of,
Okay, so
Britt.
here's my dish because I'm not gonna do a typical like, oh, what dish is your favorite? I'm going to put together my Thanksgiving dish for you. So I like myself some like white meat turkey
Okay.
and a ton of mashed potatoes smothered in butter. I can pass on the gravy. I don't really mess around with gravy that much. My aunt makes these really good rolls, and so I'll take like 3 of them because I just like to hoard them. We're all like
Mm-hmm.
little squirrels, and if you don't take them at first, they're gone.
Yeah.
And then what else do I like? What did I pumpkin pie. I don't really like pie. So the reason I like pumpkin pie is 'cause I don't like pie crust. So it's very easy for me to like suck the pumpkin down and just leave the pie crust. It's so easy.
Speaking of,
Um,
here, one sec. Speaking of pie crust, when I was in high school, I used to get really bad cravings for sweets. And I'd go to Albertsons or a grocery store and buy pie crust that just came in like the thing where you put pie in and you bake it, and I just eat the pie crust. It was so fucking good.
I'm
It sounds crazy, but it was so sweet. It was so good.
no,
Stuffing or
I'm like the
dressing?
weirdo.
Whoa.
Oh, I love stuffing.
Stuffing's
Stuffing's good.
my favorite dish for Thanksgiving. Like
I love stuffing.
I will inject stuffing into my veins. I will mainline stuffing live
I'm
on
like,
air.
oh, I like candied yams.
Oh yeah, that's an underrated one. That's a slapper.
Ah,
Nobody makes candied yams in my
green bean
family though.
casserole. I fucks with
Green
some
bean
green bean
casserole. If
casserole.
if if I go to a Thanksgiving dinner and they're serving straight green beans and not green bean casserole, I'm throwing a fit and I'm kicking a child. Like I need green bean casserole. It's so candied yams, mac and cheese. Stuffing is
Yes, mac and
overrated. Bro,
cheese.
I'm about to pop my top right now. No, it's not. You're buying store-bought stuffing. Stuffing is incredible. Okay, before let's not get too heated. Let's talk the second question that I have. We talked about this on the Suns show last night. I was producing the Suns show, and they brought up, is pumpkin pie overrated? This was my answer. Before you go,
Andrew
this was
Taylor, who's been commenting in this chat, actually sent me the screenshot from that or tagged me in it. I don't
mhm.
remember which one it was.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that on
And
Twitter.
I was like, I actually love pumpkin pie.
So this was my answer. Yeah, I used to love pumpkin pie, but I ate so much of it that now it's overrated to me. But I understand why people
mm,
still enjoy it. I like more complex
that's
tasting
like me
pies
and
now.
tequila, except I drank too much of it that now I just think of vomiting every time.
I haven't gotten
At
there
least
yet.
you didn't eat till you got sick.
Yeah, I
I
bet.
have done that
Oh,
before
you
though,
know,
but that was on Easter.
speaking
That's
of
why I love Thanksgiving. I just eat so much. And you look at me and you probably are like, no, you don't. I'm like, yeah.
Speaking of, we're getting so off track. Speaking of tequila, though, last night on my way home from the office, I was meeting some friends to have a couple of drinks with, and I wanted to bring something because I can't drink beer right now. Um, and
Oh yeah, Shane's keto. If you guys didn't know,
I would see. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to be that pretentious guy.
keto
Yeah.
Guido.
Oh my God, ow. Anyway, I on my way back from the office, there's a drive-through liquor store. It's a convenience store. Oh my God, I had never done that before. It was amazing. It was the only thing I was
Going to a
open, so I'm like, why
drive-through
not?
liquor store?
It was sweet. It was like
Oh
it
my
wasn't like
God, no. That's where you got it. Okay, well, it doesn't matter now because all of us are of age, but that was where you always would go for like all the underage
oh,
shit
at
in high
Jerry's.
school. No, Jerry's
Oh,
is the worst place to go if you're in Tempe. But in high school, on the west side
oh,
in Glendale, they never ID'd for anything. That was where you went
really?
to go get all your underage shit.
I remember. See, this is just going into one thing over and up, but that's what this is for right now because we don't want to talk ASU football. I
No, we're
remember
just venting session.
right when I turned 21, I got my I mean I already had my ID, but I like had just turned 21, so I was ready to go buy beer just because I wanted to buy beer. I'd obviously drank in prior, but don't drink if you're underage, guys. It's really stupid. It can mess up your liver bad. But I just wanted to buy beer legally. I was getting so stoked about it. So I go to a convenience store and I'm already rocking the mustache. This was 3 years ago. I've had this for 3 years now. And I
Shane,
get
you look
there.
like you're 40 for 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. I get there and they don't card me, and I'm like, "What the hell?" And then I go to dinner that night and they don't card me again. And like every time my friends get carded and I don't, I'm like, "Dude, like I'm not their dad." I don't know.
Hey, I mean, I very frequently do not get carded when I go out. And I don't know if that's a lot of times because I'm always with old people.
Bailey says, "I guess 2021 ASU football leads to talking about underage drinking." Yes, it does. ASU football, ASU sports, I would say, it's except for triathlon because you can't drink if you're doing a triathlon. Well, you can. Have you ever done a beer mile? Have you heard about that?
I don't run, so if it involves anything that has a mile and I'm not on my scooter, then it's not happening.
You like stop every half mile or a quarter mile. It's like maybe 4 miles, and you drink a beer. You shotgun a beer. I've done it once. It was not
Okay.
fun.
If it was 1 mile, that was enough. Now you just made it 4 miles, and I have to stop every 1 mile. That's way too much. If I was
Uh,
stopping every quarter mile, I could manage that.
yeah, shout out ASU triathlon. We did this earlier in the week. We've been doing this for a couple weeks now. 5
Yeah.
natties in a row. It's incredible. I can't even wake up on time 5 days in a row. So Congratulations.
Yeah, me
to
neither, man. I'm always
ASU
late for stuff.
triathlon. Okay, well, ASU drops Crusher in Corvallis 24-10, falls to 7-4 on the year, 5-3 in the conference. The Beavers moved to 7-4 on the year, 5-3 in the conference as well. The Beavers have a chance to win the Pac-12 North with obviously a win over Oregon and a Washington State loss. If they beat Oregon and Washington State wins, Washington State wins a three-way tie, and you could see a Washington State Utah matchup in the Pac-12
I kind
championship.
of think I'd like that more than anything.
Yeah, I don't want to see Oregon and Utah again because it's going to be a revenge game. Oregon will either roll or they'll get blown out again. I don't know.
I don't
Anything else?
disagree. No, I mean, I would disagree. I think what you just said in terms of your last statement with Oregon and Utah is very similar to ASU Stanford. That 2013 year they played earlier in the season. Stanford blew out ASU early on, and it was pretty much the same thing that we saw when they met in the Pac-12 championship that year. So yeah, I'd rather see them play somebody else.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure as always. Tomorrow morning, if you're a big football guy, NFL, we'll talk some college as well. The tailgate with me, the GM Saul Bookman, and Johnny Venerable from the PHNX Cardinals will be live on the YouTube channel at 10 a.m., an hour before kick. We'll be talking everything from our picks for this week, some stuff that happened today, as well as the slate of NFL games that is tomorrow. Also, this week's schedule is going to be a little different because of Thanksgiving. We got a PHNX Friendsgiving coming up that I'm stoked for, but we'll definitely be live on Wednesday after the Baylor game. The game starts at 5:30. We'll also be live on Friday, I believe, to talk U of A, and then obviously live after the U of A game on Sunday. I believe we'll have an episode coming out on Tuesday for audio and audio only for Thursday for Thanksgiving as well. So keep an eye out for those. If you don't follow the PHNX feed or the PHNX Sun Devils feed on your favorite podcasting platform, please do so and leave a review. If you don't follow Britt, you can follow her right there at Lit with Britt. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you can follow me right there at Shane D. Yeah, Lit with 2 T's, Britt with 2 T's, obviously. And you can follow PHNX_Sun Devils across Twitter. You can follow PHNX_sports across all socials, including YouTube. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, comment some stuff, what you guys want to see from us, because now that football is gone, or I'm acting like it's over already because I've given up. Once football ends,
now that Shane's given up on football, what else do you want us to cover?
There will be more stuff to talk about, or more time to talk about stuff. So if you have any ideas, shoot me a DM. My DMs are always open. You can also just comment on the video or anything. As I said, thanks again for joining us. We will be back on Wednesday after the Baylor game. Have a great night. Get some sleep, and peace.